Let's talk about grit. I'm going to tell you two quick stories. So the first story is about my guy Grant Dykstra. I alluded to this, and it's kind of a sad story, but I think it has a good ending for us. When my guy Grant was 5 years old, he grew up on a dairy farm, and he would always play up in the hayloft of their barn. And up in the hayloft of the barn, they had a threshing machine. If you don't know what a threshing machine is, it's this big machine with these big teeth that you throw the hay in, it like threshes the hay and chops it up and spits it out into smaller portions where the cows can eat it. So he's playing up in the hayloft, and he was wearing a big hoodie, a big baggy hoodie, and he's playing, he accidentally bumped the button to turn on the threshing machine. The edge of the hoodie sleeve got caught in the teeth of the threshing machine, and it started to reel him in. And it started to pull in the sleeve of his right arm. And he's screaming, but no one else was in the barn to hear him. And he couldn't get out of the sweatshirt, and he couldn't stop the machine. And it started to chew up, the teeth chewed up his whole right arm. Screaming. His mom heard him. She came running up. He couldn't reach the button. And so she came up and stopped the machine when the teeth had gotten all the way up to his elbow. Blood's trickling out of the bottom of the machine. He's screaming. His mom is screaming. And then she tried to pull his arm out, but she couldn't even pull his arm out because the teeth were embedded in the muscle and the sinew of the machine. So they call 911, the fire department comes, the emergency, the ambulance comes, and they couldn't find a way to get him out of the machine, and he's losing blood. The only way that they could get his arm out of the machine without amputating it was to turn it back on in reverse. And so it just chopped up, and he's screaming his whole arm, and it comes out just a bloody mess. And over the next 8 years, he had dozens of surgeries to try to repair his right arm and hand. And when I met him, when he was a freshman in high school and we played high school basketball together, he was a lefty, a 6'5", athletic, strong, smart lefty with a pure shooting stroke. But his right arm was about 3 or 4 inches shorter than his left arm, because they had to take out so many sections of bone to try to rebuild it. It was just a massive scar tissue in his hand. He couldn't even make a fist with his hand. He could kind of just move it a little bit, but he couldn't dribble with his right hand. He couldn't really pass with his right hand. He sure never shot with his right hand. Really, the only thing that he could do with his right hand is, like, just for one dribble, he just kind of put it right back to his left hand. And what was amazing was that Grant went on to become an all-conference player with that disability. Grant went on to become an NCAA Division II player with that disability. Grant went on to be the all-time leading scorer at Western Washington University with that disability, being Mr. Basketball and inducted into their Hall of Fame. That's amazing, right? That's amazing grit. Amazing grit to be able to overcome that challenge. But here's what you gotta understand about grit, is grit isn't just the ability to overcome that challenge. Grit, like sandpaper, gives you a bit of a roughness that other people can grab onto, and they won't slip away when things get hard. I'll tell you this, I got to know Grant through our 2 years playing together. I was older than him. My senior year, his sophomore year, we were the two best players on the team. And we were ranked, and we won our district, and we went into the state tournament ranked in the top 4 in the state. We had a chance to win a state championship. It was our dream. And then things got tough. In the very first game of our state tournament, there's 4 games in our state tournament, the very first game, Grant, who had overcome so much, tore his MCL in the first few minutes of the very first game. And it just demoralized our whole team. We were way better than this team we were playing. We just barely squeaked out a victory. And I remember we were all just down and talking after the game. And Grant said, hey, he stood up. He's like, you guys need to get your heads up. He says, look at my arm. He's like, look what I overcame. Look, I'm still here, and I went through all this. He's like, you guys just losing me? That's nothing compared to me almost losing my arm. You guys still have a team. You still have your bodies. You still have your health. Now, I have a hurt MCL, and look what I've overcome. He's like, I believe you guys can still go win the state championship. And it wasn't just empty words, because he had been through tough stuff. He had been through that tough stuff. And so there was some grit in him. And that grit not only made him tough, it made him a competitor, but it gave us something to hold on to, and we held on to his words. And we went on and won the next game by 20 points, the next game by 30 points. We won the state championship game by 35 points because of the grittiness of Grant, even when he wasn't playing. So Grant, if you're watching this, man, shout out to you. I still remember that to this day. And to all of you hearing this, whenever you feel like you want to complain about something, just remember, you're not playing with an arm that doesn't work very well. Most of you, some of you might, most of you are not. So you can probably overcome a slippery floor, or a ball that's a little bit flat, or your driveway that's a little bit tilted, or because you don't have a great rim, or the sun's in your eyes. Shut up. Shut up and get gritty. Go through some tough stuff to get gritty. You'll be a better leader. You'll be a more powerful athlete and basketball player. That's what grit is. And you're wondering, okay, I want grit, Tyler, but like, do I have to go through some horrific experience to get grit? No, you don't have to go through some horrific experience to get grit. You just got to take the stairs. You just got to take the stairs more in your life. You know what this is like. I fly a lot. You've probably been in an airport before, but whenever you're changing levels in an airport, there's almost always the stairs and then an escalator right next to them. The stairs or the escalator. And what do you normally take? The stairs or the escalator? I know what I want to take. I just want to take the escalator. But every time I choose to take the stairs. Why? Because I don't want to. Because it builds a little grit in me. Now, that's just one example, but there's all sorts of things you can do to take the stairs. When there's dishes in the sink, you don't want to do them. Take the stairs and do the dishes. When you are tired and you're doing a set of 10 reps on bench and you do your set of 10, do one more. That's taking the stairs, right? Whenever your coach is like, hey, we got to get one stop, you bear down and raise your energy level. That's grit. That's all taking the stairs. And you might want to write this down. Grit is taking pride in doing the difficult things extremely well. Pride is taking pride in doing the difficult things extremely well. Anybody can do the easy things well. Do the difficult things extremely well.